Hi, I'm Jill from June Taylor with another innovative solution. Did you ever want to join your quilt blocks that are made quilt as you go? Now we have a perfect way to do that with our Sash and a Dash. It's pre-sewn sashing. It's sold by the yard in 7 colors with matching binding. Open the casing and nest your quilt block inside the casing. And then we're just going to run a top stitch down the edge. Take your next block, open the casing, and just do the same thing. To join rows, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to run our Sash and a Dash across the row. You can run a beautiful embroidery stitch down here to embellish Sash and a Dash, or you can even put a strip of fabric down here. Here's an example where we added a fabric strip by folding under raw edges and top stitching over Sash and a Dash. And if you like to make t-shirt quilts, go ahead and quilt your blocks and then join them with Sash and a Dash.
Ready to create fun and furry projects galore with the Go Puppy die. This sweet and clever die will help you create all kinds of pups quickly and easily. The die includes 10 intricate shapes that include tiny eyes and a wee little nose on a 6x12 die board that will fit through any Go cutter. You'll even find a special treat for your newly created pups, a little bone shape. And you'll love using the shapes on the board in different ways and with different fabrics and colors to create a litter of different pups of all kinds and breeds. Free downloadable basic embroidery is available on AccuQuilt.com for an added value for machine embroiderers. Your puppies will make a perfect addition to so many different projects like wall hangings and quilts. You can even use it to create a sweet bag to carry treats for your own furry four-legged friends. The Go Puppy is perfectly sized to work along the Go Kitten die as well. We know you'll love creating litter after litter of pups when you adopt one of these dies and bring it home, because at AccuQuilt we help you cut time so you can quilt and craft more. Today we are going to cut and sew this super cute project from the new 16-inch cube. Hey quilters, welcome to AccuQuilt Live. I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert. I don't know who I am. Thanks for joining us today. Chris is in the house. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, but I can't see you.
That's okay. No, you really need to be able to see me. Kenyon's working on it. Kenyon's working on it.
All right, perfect.
What are you working on? Speaking of things what people are working on.
I really need to be working on cleaning up my space because right now it's a mess and that really hinders my creativity.
I am with you there. This weekend, this weekend for a lot of people it's Easter and a lot of people it's Passover, and I am actually off tomorrow. Our offices are closed on Friday, which are Good Friday, so keep that in mind, quilters. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. My plan is to clean and organize, or sleep and watch movies. I don't know, we'll see.
One or the other will happen.
One or the other will happen. All right. Where is everyone watching from? Jacqueline's watching from Seattle. Hi, Jacqueline. And Jeannie is watching from, Jeannie says she's really looking forward to this project. It is super easy. You can make it in a day. This one is funny. Kathy said, this should be fun. And hello from, I'm going to so butcher this, Tionesta, Pennsylvania, where the weather has lost its mind. Okay, so I get that, Kathy, because here in Omaha, Nebraska, the weather has lost its mind. It's going to be 75 today, and then tomorrow's going to be like 40. But
oh my goodness. We
have controlled burns because the heartland has where crops are grown. So this morning there is a thick layer of smoke everywhere in Nebraska from the controlled burns. So I'm wearing my contact lenses, or not wearing my contacts, because that's how crazy it is. All right, can you see me now?
I sure can.
Oh, good. Okay. Here is the photo of the day. So this, I know it looks kind of odd for you, but it is, if you read in the center, it says echoes down. So my son, Mason, that is his gamer tag, it's his work things that he does, and his middle name is Fox. So my older son, Taylor, drew this logo with the fox and echoes down for a project that Mason did after he graduated from high school, which I love. So here is the question of the day. Have you ever designed an original block or pattern? Everyone here in the Dream Studio said no. Negative ghostwriter, we have not. But I'm really excited to use the AccuQuiltable program that's now available from our retailers and our website to design, using my cube, to design new patterns and blocks. But Chris, I believe you might have designed this project. Is that true?
I sure did, yes.
Okay, so how many projects do you think that you've designed and patterns?
Well, for my own patterns, I think I'm up to 16. And then for AccuQuilt specific, I have no idea. I have lost count.
Well, we're super excited about it. So this is the project we're going to make today. And listen, when I say we're going to make it today, we are going to make it today. So I'm going to lay this just right here. But before we get into the details, today I'm going to give away $100 in AccuQuilt reward points. The lucky winner could use that to get the new 16-inch cube. Be sure and register for future events on the AccuQuilt event page, and Chris is going to announce the winner at the end of our show. All right, so not only is today's project super cute, but it uses 3 different sizes of cubes, including the new 16-inch cube. And as we said, it was designed by one of my very favorite people, Chris Marchini. If you don't follow Chris, be sure and follow him on all social media platforms. He is Rose City Originals. Hey, speaking of which, is things blooming in Portland?
Oh, yes.
You can leave that right there, Deborah.
Our daffodils, I think, are starting to fizzle out.
Oh.
Tulips are going strong. I just actually was outside and saw some new ones popped up.
Good.
Yeah, I'm hoping the daylilies wake up soon. They're my favorite.
Oh yes. Our daffodils are just now blooming. And our tulips are kind of in full force. So it's super fun.
Nice.
All right, so to make this project, you're gonna need 3 sizes of cubes. You're gonna need the Go Cube Mix and Match 16, 8, and 4 inch, and 4 gradients of colors. So Chris, let's just look at this for 1 second and then we're gonna talk about the cube. So this is the block made from the 4 inch cube, right?
Yes.
And then the 8 inch.
8 inch.
And the 16 inch. And then we're going to talk about this. I have deemed it the faux flying geese, but we'll talk about it in just a second, okay? All right, so let's talk about the new cube. We have a new cube. It is 16-inch finished block. I'm going to move it. You did such a great job there, Greg. I'm sorry. Greg had it so pretty here on the set. So just like it's the other 7 sizes of cubes, it has 8 basic geometric shapes and comes with companions, corners, and angles. And so we're just gonna go through and pull out the shapes that we need for this project. So you're gonna notice there's 2 different sizes of dies. There are 10 by 10 inch dies and 6 by 6 inch dies. This is going to fit through your Go fabric cutter and your Go Big. It comes with all the dies you need and the mats you need. And here are shapes 6, 7, and 8, which are the bigger sizes. And we're gonna open this, keep everything organized. So this is shape 4, and this is shape 3, which are half square triangles, which is what we need for our project today. And just like our other half square triangles, we've cut off the dog ears. So from this point here to this point here is a perfect 1/4 inch seam. So we're gonna leave that here. Don't forget each die comes with a little pattern to help you figure out how to use it. It's kind of a quilt by number system. This makes just a really fun windmill block, okay? And then we have 3 dies that come, or 2 dies, sorry, that come in the smaller size, shape 2 and 5. So we're gonna need shape 5. There we go. That is 2. I was looking in the camera, everything is backwards for our project. Now, to learn more about our cubes, you have a couple of choices. You could watch yesterday's launch party where we had the amazing Amanda Harward. It was so fun. We had just a huge trunk show. I think we had 16 new quilts. It was the most we've ever had. And, but you can also find out how to use our cubes on our Facebook channel, our website, and our YouTube channel, okay? So I'm gonna put this back in here. There we go. Okay, Greg, where would you like me to put this? Just right there? Perfect. All right. All right, so let's talk about this project. I downloaded the pattern. It's a free pattern at AccuQuilt.com. And it's super, super easy. I cut and sewed my blocks together, the first section of them, in literally 5 minutes, okay? So this is the center blocks for our project. So this star block was made from the 4-inch cube, and this is made from the 8-inch cube. Notice I used grunge. I thought it was really fun for the gradient pieces. So now I need to make flying geese from the 16-inch cube. So I've already cut my background pieces. I'm gonna lay these right here. All right. And notice these are the centers for our flying geese. So now what we need are the wings. And what you need is shape number 5. So here is my pro tip. You want to lay your lengthwise grain of the fabric parallel to these lengthwise blades. So I followed Chris's very clear instructions, which says I need to cut 8 of these half square triangles. So what I've done is I cut with the fabric. I measured from here to here at 1/4 of an inch on either side and just rough cut with the fabric. Notice right here you can see my selvage. So I'm going to move it just past that. Moda Grunge. Boy, I should be one of their ambassadors, Chris.
You should be, just for the grunge.
Just for the grunge. Okay, so we need 8 pieces. There's 2 on the die board. Normally we can cut up to 6 layers of cotton fabric, but today I'm just going to cut 4 because then I need 8. And notice that I started from the selvage edge, not the folded edge, because sometimes you have enough in the back, right, Chris?
Yep.
Okay, so while I cut this, I'm going to use our Go Big, but you could also use our Go Fabric Cutter. Talk about if people have designed blocks or patterns.
Sure. All right. Patty says not yet, but it's one of the things it's on my things I want to do list.
Yes. I'm right there with you.
I will say my first pattern took me a year to actually write the pattern. But from there, like, I've gotten much faster at it. So don't be discouraged.
And what was the holdup? Was it just you didn't know how to do it?
That was part of it.
Okay.
So the patterns I write, like for myself and somewhat with the AccuQuilt, I'm a very visual learner.
Yes.
So trying to figure out how to write the pattern was really hurting my brain until I actually got inspiration from a Lego instruction booklet. And if you've ever done Lego,
yes,
there's
they have no words
in their booklets.
They have
it's
no
all
words.
Pictures. I was like, why can't I do that with quilting? So I started doing that to put my quilts together, and that made it go a lot faster, but it involved a lot of drawing. I was new to the software I was using at the time. I'm much more proficient with it now.
Oh, yeah. That makes total sense. Okay, so now I have the wings for my flying geese. Remember, shapes 4 and 5 in every cube will get you flying geese. So now I'm just going to chain piece. And Chris, talk about pressing these.
I believe I say to press it open.
Yes, you do.
I almost always press my diagonal seams open.
Yes.
It just helps add to the flatness of your block. I also find that when I press my diagonal seams open, I'm less likely to get that little curve in it from when you press it over to the side. So it helps keep my lines nice and straight.
Okay. I'm agreeing with you on that. And we're going to sew 1/4 of an inch seam. And we're just going to chain piece. All right, Chris, so talk to us about people and their designs.
Okay, let's see. Linda says yes. Then
Linda, tell us what you did.
Yes, I'd love to see it. Parlene, Gwen, Gary, and Maureen all said no, which is also fine.
Well, and also I think your process of just, looking at it just for the shapes. I mean, when I think about AccuQuiltable, I think, oh, you could just go in there and find the shapes that you want. Don't worry about the words and the math, right?
Right.
And then just go.
And that's really step one is coming up with your design. Like, what do you want it to look like? So AccuQuiltable is perfect for that because you can grab all your cube shapes, cluster them together how you want it to look, and color it, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Okay. Both my kids are artists, and they're really good about color. And so, like, if I'm working on a project, I often will call one or both of them and say, hey, here I have some fabric. What colors go with it? And I think that helps you see the vision, right, of what it's going to look like in the end if you can kind of have some color.
It does. It absolutely does, yes.
Okay. So look, I am doing exactly what Chris says to do. And I'm going to set my seam. Do you want to talk about that, Chris? We get that question a lot about why do I always just press it once there? Just setting the seam.
Yep, setting the seam, it helps lock in the threads that you just sewed with. So like the sewing thread helps lock it in with the threads of the fabric. So you will, whether you press open or to the side, get a nice crisper line.
Yeah.
I will admit, I often forget to press my seam because I'm just in such a hurry to get back to sewing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. And again, we're
While
doing
you-
a 1/4-inch seam.
1/4 inch seam, yes. And while you're pressing, we have a couple questions that have come in.
Okay.
Nancy asks, no, not that one. Where was the one? Debbie asks, is there any way you can make this quilt from smaller cubes?
Oh, Chris answered that question.
So you wouldn't be able to get the full size of the quilt because the outer star is made with shape 3, and so it's shape 1 and 3 from the 16-inch cube, which is an 8-inch finished square and an 8-inch finished half square triangle,
Right.
which is not available in any other cube than the 16.
Right. But you could make it, you could make blocks from the 5 and 10 and the 4 and 8 and the 6 and 12. You would just have to make more of them. So,
Correct.
okay, in your head, Chris, could you do this with the, no, you need 3 sizes, never mind. But you could make one more, no, you can't, never mind. You're right.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go with that, you're right. But you could certainly make these cute little blocks in a block.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Another question from Randy. Are you going to give classes with the AccuQuiltable software? I purchased it and would like classes. And to
So
answer that,
we're in the process. Caitlin from our team, and I'm gonna ask Kenyon, are those videos almost ready to post? Yeah, so Caitlin did some how-to videos, some little teach me how to use AccuQuiltables, and Kenyon is in the process of editing those, and once those are edited, that's such a funny word. Once they're edited, he will, we'll post them on our website and our YouTube channel and our Facebook group, all the things.
perfect.
Yeah, and you could go back and watch the Wednesday show where Ashley from Dime joined me, because that's a great beginner, this is how you open it up, right? Because I feel like some of you are like, I don't know how to turn it on. So watch
So that's a
Ashley.
very beginner basic.
Yeah, yeah, it was a Wednesday show. It's on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, all the things. Good questions today, though. Okay.
Couple more questions here. Nancy's asking, I'm just planning. I haven't purchased my Go Big yet, but I'm planning to soon. Don't know which cubes to start with. I just love this.
Oh, this is my favorite question.
So what's your favorite cube?
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're just getting started, I love the 8-inch and the 10-inch. The 8-inch, because so many blocks are 8 inches, and you can make them bigger, right? You can, because it's based on a 2x2 grid. But if you did a 3x3 grid, you could use the 8-inch cube to make a 12-inch block. And then I love 10-inch because the math is done.
Right.
What about you?
8-inch is my favorite. One reason is because of the 2-inch and the 4-inch finished half square triangles, because I find those to be really common half square triangle sizes in a lot of even non-AccuQuilt patterns. So it's easy to do some conversions.
Yes.
And then also like the 2-inch by 4-inch flying geese. I use those sizes
Bless
all
you.
the time, even in my own patterns. So
Yes.
it's my favorite.
And I think too, a lot of times I use 2.5 inches as my strip die. And so, you can use the 2-inch, for cornerstones or the 2x4 rectangles. It just, the math works easier.
It does.
But for sure, good for you to start with the Go Big, because that's what you should do. All right, you ready? So now,
While you have that camera angle, Bonnie's actually asking, what is grunge? So this would be a good shot for it.
here, I'll show you. Can we get really close, Kenyon? So this is Moda Grunge. It is Gray Basics is the line. And what it does is it has a base color, and then look, it has like purples and blues. This has yellows and gold, and this is like sherbet. And I love grunge because of the fact that it's textured like this. And it's my favorite of all fabric. So go to your quilt store and say, hey, I need some of that grunge. And they will say, sure. They'll get you all hooked up.
It comes in all kinds of colors.
It does. It does.
It's a lot.
So now we need to make the corners, right? So we're going to take our little flying geese and we're going to add the corners to them. Okay? And I just did, Chris, you may have done this differently. I just did a block at a time, sewing them.
That's what I did also.
Because I just
kept like building. So I started with the 4-inch star, and then I made the 8-inch star around it.
Yes.
And then the 16-inch star around it, and then the 32-inch star around it.
Yes. That's what I'm going to do. Because
Perfect.
then I make sure that I sew the points in the correct direction.
Yes. Definitely want to do that.
Yes. All right, do we have more questions or comments?
We do. We are getting lots of questions today. So Barbara is asking, will AccuQuilt offer a 16-inch setting triangle die to go with the new cube?
And I'm going to tell you no. And do you know why, Chris? Now I'm going to say that, and the Gibney's like cringing because I said that. Do you know why, Chris?
Is it too big to fit on a die board?
It's too big to fit on a die board. We can only get, well, for the go big, we can get 14-inch, but you have to turn it on its side. So,
Right.
Yeah. But, Chris, there's kind of a workaround about that, right? Because you could use other setting triangles and add to them.
You could. Yes.
I mean, I'm just saying.
What's the biggest? Is 12-inch the
12
largest
is
setting
the
triangle?
biggest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So people are asking when we turn it on point, which is how this block goes, then setting triangles come here. But if you stopped at this point, you could use the 8-inch, right? Because this is 8. No, you can't. Never mind. Don't listen to me. Please don't. Customer service is going to go, Pam, what were you talking about? So I'm sorry. What we should do, and this should be a Chris job. Chris, because he can do math in his head, you should figure out how to cut your fabric to what, to make 16-inch setting triangles.
I will work on that. See what kind of trickery we can do.
Yeah, we'll work on that. That's a great question, though. Okay.
One option would be to make half blocks. I know like some bob dies, you can just only make like the half on the diagonal.
I did that for the Enigma Star.
Right. Sometimes though you do end up with a bias along that outer edge, so you just have to be cautious of that. But that's always an option as well.
Yes. Okay, you want
let's-
your points facing in? Okay. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
That's okay. Just got lots of questions today. A couple people have asked about how many cubes it takes to make this. Someone thought it was 4, someone thought it was 2. So this particular pattern uses 3 cube sizes. It's the 4-inch, the 8-inch, and the 16-inch.
Yep.
Let's see. And that's the only, so like 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. That's how they all work together. And that's the only numbers at this time anyway,
This is,
of cubes that will work together. Because you could do like 5 and 10, but there's no 20-inch cube. That would be way too big.
So much.
So they're not like divisible by each other. So this is the only set where there's 3 cube sizes that are all divisible by each other.
Correct.
Let's see. And then Janet says, you both like the 8-inch. Would you next buy different sizes of cubes or buy the angles or corner accessories?
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. And I'm going to answer, I would buy another cube and I would buy the 12-inch. And then I would buy companions. I like the option of what you can make with 2 cubes.
And
What,
then my
what
answer
is
would
your
actually
preference?
be to go with the companion sets first. So companion angles is my favorite because I love half rectangle triangles, and you can sew together 2 of shape 14 to get that. So that's what
Oh,
I would
yes.
personally do.
Okay.
But
See,
you know,
that's
it
why
depends
she
on what kind of
asked.
shapes you like. Right.
That's why she asked, so we could give opinions. Okay, now, I don't know what Chris did, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to press these towards the star blocks, and
I'm
then
pretty sure I did that because those flying geese points get a little bulky.
they do.
Yeah.
And then, because I want my seams to nest, I'm going to do it here. Okay,
And this is a good example that it's okay to mix pressing styles in one quilt. You can press to the side and press open in the same
Yes.
quilt. It's okay.
Yes. Okay, make sure your geese are pointing in the right direction. Hold that down there. All right, Chris, do we have more questions?
We do.
Okay, I'm
Dolly
loving
was
this.
asking. Okay.
Go ahead.
She says, I think I missed out, but if I want the finished size to be 12 inches, what size cube do I use?
12 inch.
And that's an easy answer because it's a 12-inch cube. So each of the cubes, there's 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, and now 16. That is all the finished size for the block.
Yes.
So once it's all said and done, it's sewn into a quilt, that's what size it will be.
And we do that because quilters, we built in that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So all of our geometric shapes have that 1/4 inch seam allowance built in, including our strip dies. So when quilters say to me, Pam, do you have a 2-inch strip die? I'm going to say, no, do you want 2-inch finish or 2-inch cut? Because those are 2 different sizes. And they're like, no, I want it to finish to 2 inches. And I said, well, then you need to cut a 2.5 inch.
Yep.
Right?
I just had that same question on a Facebook post earlier because someone asked about a die to cut a certain size of flying geese. I was like, okay, is that finished or unfinished?
Right,
Gotta
because
specify.
that makes a difference. Yeah,
does.
sure it does. Okay. Good questions, folks. Just keep them coming here.
And then Pamela is asking, so do you have to have, there's a lot of halves in there, all of the different size dies? I mean, you don't
I would say
have
yes.
to.
Right.
It depends on what quilt you want to make. So like for this quilt, you would need at least the base cube to get that outer edge, because you have those large 8.5 inch, 8-inch finished half rectangle, half square triangles.
Right.
Goodness gracious. And 8-inch finished squares. And I think, did we have an 8-inch finished half square triangle before the cube? Like, I don't think that was even a die.
I
That
don't
was
think
a
so.
new
We
one
have
that
an
came out.
8-inch finished square.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think we had somebody in, whoever's watching who's ever helping in the comments, can you check for us? Lauren will know off the top of her quilting head. Lauren is all knowing. I can say to Lauren, hey, do we have this? And she'll say yes or no. Okay, hold on here.
I do know that several of the shapes in the 16-inch cube did not exist on a die board prior to the 16-inch cube.
Yeah, which is super cool. I mean,
Yes.
because now you can use it with other things. You can use it with bob dies, not today, but next week. We're making this really fun project that Amanda Harward designed using the 16-inch cube and the 16-inch finished feather star die.
I was going to ask about that because I saw that as one of the trunk show quilts.
Yes.
And I was going to ask if the Feathered Star finished at 16 or if there were other bobs that finished at 16.
Feather star and carpenter's wheel.
Perfect.
Right? Yeah. So for sure, you should be designing quilts with carpenter's wheels and feather stars and 16-inch cubes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are we good on questions? Do we still have questions?
We do.
Okay.
And Erica chimed in.
Hi, Erica.
Once upon a time, we did have an 8-inch finished HST and QST, so half square triangle and quarter square triangle, on a 10 by 24-inch board. She said, I mean, the quarter square triangle was a long die board. So now they're on the square, so they fit in the cube
Oh,
box.
I gotcha.
And then Vicky's asking, just curious, why is there no 7-inch cube?
Because I say all the time, we have a 4, 5, 6, 7. 7's kind of an odd duck number. Okay, so here's the beginning of our blocks. Look at this.
Awesome.
Okay. We don't have one. If you really want one, I'll tell the Gibney. But 7 inches is really hard. It's a prime number. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look
So it
at me
doesn't
knowing
divide.
math on a Wednesday. Okay.
It doesn't divide as easily. Yeah.
Right. So whereas, 6, 9, 8, they all work together, 12. Okay, now for the outer part, we're going to make our faux flying geese. So I've already cut 8 of the backgrounds of the half square triangles. And now we're going to use our die to cut 8 more. Okay? So this is shape number 3. This is a perfect example of how, why we put big elements and small elements in the cube, not just 8 different shapes. Because we have big squares and big half square triangles and little half square triangles, and this is why, so that you can use them to create new elements within a quilt. Okay, thank you, Greg. We're glad that Greg is back. We have some special visitors in the Dream Studio today. I'm super excited. We can't show you them, but we'll talk about them in a second. Okay, so Chris, we're just sewing these together, yeah?
Yep, just making half square triangles.
For days.
1/4-inch seam.
We're gonna sew right sides together. So had I been thinking, I could have cut them together. It would have been harder
The background
because
and the color. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would have been harder actually because this is we just cut one with the fabric strip and cut all 8.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So here we go. We're going to sew a whole project today, and it will be ready to be quilted and made into a baby gift. And do you not love this color? It's called raspberry. Oh,
That is a really pretty color.
Went to the grunge drawer. Well, it's a tote. It's not a drawer. Okay.
It's graduated from the drawer.
So much. So much. And here's what's funny is I really need to take pictures of my grunge because I have a tendency to buy the same colors. And so like I have yards of this raspberry. But I only had like
Well, this
1
is a good
yard
project for it.
of the sherbet, which I really like. Okay, I'm going to just chain piece. So you want to tell us if we have questions or comments?
Sure. Let's go back to the question of the day, guys. See some fun comments in here. So Brenda says, I have many original designs, but they were made by mistake. So I found that to be funny because that is how a lot of block designs can happen is, oops, I sewed it wrong. Hey, but it looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you don't rip it out, you just leave it. And now it's a design choice instead
And now
of
it's
an oopsie.
there forever. Yeah, no, I love that. That is true.
And then Margaret says, yes, I have a quilt for one of my great nieces.
Oh, very
That's
fun.
always fun, like doing a design for someone special. And then
back in the day, when Oakley, who's almost 11, back when she was younger, she would come to my house, and I had all of the 8 shapes from the 8-inch cube cut out into craft foam, and I had multiple of each shapes, and they were all different colors. And then Oakley would sit at the kitchen table and design quilt blocks using her little craft foam. And I took a picture of some, and in one day when I have nothing else to do, maybe when she graduates from high school, I'm going to take some of those and make a quilt with it, because it was really fun for her to kind of see how shapes work together, and you know, and so if you're thinking, you know, maybe you're not very good on a computer, but maybe you're trying to decide how to do it, just cut out some shapes. You could cut them out of fabric or felt or paper even. And then just start playing with the shapes. It's amazing what you'll find.
Fun.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Jonna says, yes, I've designed several.
Yeah.
Ardeen says, kinda, sorta. If it's kinda, sorta, I'm gonna count that as a yes.
Kind of, sort is a yes.
Amelia says that my sister just did one for one of her son's friend's business logo. That's pretty cool.
That is cool. Okay, here's my pro tip of the day, Kenyon. Make sure you have your 1/4" foot on. I was binding a quilt. We should be all amazed by that. And so I changed the foot on here so I could do the wandering stitch. And I just realized now that I've been sewing this, I'm like, this is not a 1/4" foot, but it has a 1/4" mark, so I'm good. Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. Tina says, I always try to change something on a pattern to make it my own. I think that's awesome. I love when people do that.
Yeah.
Sue says, yes, first quilt applique deer heads for hubby. I didn't know better, so I used corduroy for texture. Ooh.
Oh, I bet that
would
was
definitely-
awesome.
It probably ended up looking awesome, but I could see that being a little difficult to work with in the moment.
Oh, yes. Difficult to cut and sew. Well, not to cut, but to sew them.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Pam says, I'm not sure if this counts, but I used to design t-shirt graphics for a company outside of Chicago.
Oh, that totally
That's
counts.
really cool.
That totally counts. Quilters, you should do something creative every day. Whether it's quilting or sewing or drawing or journaling or cooking or taking pictures, you should do something creative every single day. It's just
Keeps your mind fresh.
my mantra.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to change this foot while you talk some more.
All right.
I'm going to...
Toby says, no, sadly, I haven't, but it is a goal. Always good to have goals. You'll get there. And then Joanne says, yes, I digitized a pattern of my brother's black lab for the center block of his king-sized quilt.
King size.
I would love to see that.
We'd love to see a picture of that. Okay, this is our plug for FOF, because I'm changing the foot.
Little quick snap.
Yeah, ta-da.
See,
I
Helen says that she's...
literally before the show was sewing that binding. I should have remembered. Okay, now I don't know what Chris told you to do, but I'm going to press towards the dark side.
On the big ones?
Yeah.
I probably said press open. And that actually leads to a question that Deborah asked.
Yeah.
She asked if we were pressing open. So this particular quilt has a mix of pressing open and pressing to the dark side in the instructions.
Yeah. And again, I just set my seam. But boy, howdy, quilters, you want to make sure you're cutting on the lengthwise grain. Otherwise, your blocks are going to be wonky. Okay? So now, we're going to press these, and then I'm going to show you how we are going to chain piece them together to add to the side. Okay. Do we have more questions, Chris?
We have more answers to the question of the day.
Yes, let's do that.
All right. Helen says, yes, I've designed 3 quilts. That's exciting.
Gosh. So Eric and I, the lovely Eric and I, are starting a quilt along on May 14th. And we have a brand new Facebook page because it's just me and Erica under the needle. So it's Pam and Erica under the needle with Pam and Erica. And we want you to post quilt along things, but we also want you to post things like, here's my original design that I made. We want to see what our quilters are working on. Besides what you're doing for the quilt along, which I'm really excited. We're using the 16-inch cube to make it. And I'll show you before we end. And I'm going to show you my fabric because it's kind of like grunge, but it's not.
Oh.
I know.
Branching out.
Right? I don't use grunge every day. And I never use grunge for Halloween. Isn't that weird, Chris? Because I have so much Halloween fabric. I never use grunge on my... Halloween
my
projects.
Halloween fabric has almost graduated from its drawer into a bin because I can't get the drawer closed anymore.
Oh yeah, mine is in a big tote.
I need to make some Halloween quilts. That's on my to-do list for this summer.
Are you going to make a bunch this summer? Make them from the 16-inch cube. That's what I'm going to do, because then
Gonna get
you
them
can
done
use
quickly.
that stash right up, right? And that's
I
one of
have
the
some.
cool. Go ahead.
I have some panels that I've been like I love, but I have not been sure what to do with, and I think I have an idea because I've seen some inspiration online. I think it's Riley Blake fabric. You'd probably recognize it. It's like the couture something.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Yes,
It's
I
got,
know what you're
like-
talking about.
It's like Halloween and sewing themed.
Yes,
Yes,
our two favorite
I
things.
fell in love with it and had to buy it. Yes.
Okay. Is this how it works, Chris? Is that how we're
No.
making faux flying geese?
You want the whites together.
Really?
So turn them. Yes.
Is that true?
Yep.
Okay, you wrote the pattern. Of course it's true. I'm so sorry. This
If
is
we
why
had a
we
32
practice.
inch cube, we would be making flying geese with the background in the center.
4 and 5. Okay. Okay. I trust you, Chris. Implicitly. Okay.
All right, let's see. For the question of the day, Pam says, I guess all of my quilts have been designed by me as I've never used a pattern. I use a lot of
No
bob, strip, and
way.
applique dyes and put them together.
No
I
way.
love that.
That is awesome. Okay, so I should have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have four faux flying geese. Say that fast.
That's a
5
mouthful.
times. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Chris.
All right, Carrie says, haven't designed anything yet. I'm still a newbie quilter.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
You're going to find what kind of speaks to you in quilting, and that's really part of the creative discovery that I really enjoy. Because the quilter I am now is way different than the quilter I was when I started quilting.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, what I love now and what I do now and how I do things now is completely different. And so I love the fact that new quilters are starting their journey, and don't be intimidated to think, well, maybe I don't like that. You know, I remember going to a class and at a quilt show, at a quilt store, and the instructor said, okay, this is what we're making. And it was just a little lap quilt, and this is the fabric we're going to use. There was no choice. And I remember thinking to myself, really? That's what I have to use? And
But if I don't like that fabric?
yeah, and I didn't. And so I spoke up. It was my very first one. It's amazing they let me come back. And I said, hey, that's not really like the kind of fabric I like, the colors that I like. Can I choose different fabric? And there was a huge pause. And the teacher said, well, sure, to her credit. Because I think Chris she said no, I probably would have never quilted again. I'd have gone in, made the project, and thought, that was fun. But she was like, no, what colors would you like? And it was funny because there was probably, 10 of us in the class. And probably half of them then said, well, hey, Pam's getting a new fabric. Can I get different fabric?
Look what you started.
I know. I'm such a rebel. And she said, sure. And I just really appreciate that she was willing to just go outside, of her, I mean, it took time from her class, but when it was over, everybody was happy, and every one of those quilters came back.
See? That's important.
Yeah.
I always try to be like extra encouraging with new quilters.
Yes.
Because I love quilting so much, I want everyone to love quilting.
Right. And color is really important. The colors that Erica chooses are different than the colors that I choose. And so I just think that that's really important. The center seam, I'm going to press it open because then it will lay flat. Oh gosh,
Yes.
we're working. We're almost done, quilters. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Go back to our questions.
All right.
Or,
We have some
Dave?
questions that came in. Sue would like to know, what is the name of the yellow grunge you're using in the center of the quilt? Do you remember?
I don't, but I'll post it. I'll post this
Okay.
later in our Under the Needle with Pam and Erica, and I'll post the colors of that grunge.
Perfect.
I don't
And then Tracy.
often
go
buy
ahead.
yellow. Yellow is not really a color wheel color of mine.
Right. I love the color yellow personally, but I find that my yellow scrap bin is always the most empty because I don't quilt with it a whole lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have that great, okay, Kenyon, help me. Pineapple lemonade, right? Quilt that's made with the pineapple dye. Oh,
And then Janine LaCour's
Janine
lemon.
LaCour's. Yeah, I covet that quilt. Honestly, I don't want to make it. I just want to take it home. I mean, I will make it.
Right.
Okay, just so you know, everyone, that is not an option. I don't get to just say, oh, I like that one. Okay, so now I'm going to chain piece the sides real quick, and then we'll do the centers, because then I can chain piece. Then I don't have to stop. Okay, look how big these pieces are. This is perfect. We talked about this in the show yesterday, about how perfect this is for big prints. You know, maybe you have some florals or some big geometric shapes or big modern fabric.
I debated doing big prints for the sample, but I had some of that. It's warp and weft hue from Ruby Star Society, and it was just so pretty. So, and the
love Ruby
colors I
Star.
thought went really well together. So I just went with that.
Okay, I did this really poorly for the camera. Sorry, guys. Okay, there's my faux flying geese. Okay. All right, Chris, continue. I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Tracy says, is that right? You wrote the pattern, LOL? Yes, this is one of the patterns, one of many patterns I have written for AccuQuilt. I have a lot of fun because I get to see some of the dies that are coming out ahead of time.
So many
And then
of
I
them.
can, so many. There are so many, yes. But then I get to write patterns and make samples so that they are there in Omaha to show at the launch parties. It's
Yep.
so much fun. I
So
have
Chris-
one I'm working on right now.
Chris, yes, you are. Chris, and I have to give props to Chris because he writes a good pattern. Not all pattern designers write a good pattern. What is happening here? And Erica would tell me to pin. I'm getting off my quarter-inch seam here. He writes a good pattern, so that's important, you know, if you're reading patterns, to make sure that you're reading it correctly and, you know, following the pattern and. Okay.
Well, thank you for that. I try.
Yeah,
I want
you
my
do.
patterns to be easy to read.
Yeah, no, you should. Okay, we're just adding our sides. And then
Awesome.
we'll see how we're doing here on time.
I think we're doing okay
Okay,
because you're almost done.
I am almost done. And literally, quilters, you could make this in an hour. Chris and I just chatting with all of you. I mean,
Yep.
don't you think, Chris?
It's a really quick sew. I think you probably spend more time pressing than you do cutting and sewing.
Yes, you do.
Another comment here in
Hi,
the
buddy.
questions. Pam says, Chris, please show us your, when you do the panel quilt, I have some different holiday panels in multiple sizes, and I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to use them.
Okay,
I absolutely will be
I
posting about
appreciate
it,
that.
and I will probably, 99% sure I'll be using my AccuQuilt with it.
yeah.
Several years ago, I made a quilt with some Alexander Henry Gasly's fabric, and
Oh,
I had no idea
yes.
what I was doing. Like, this was way early on. And I kind of did it sampler style, so there's all kinds of different blocks in it, and I just pieced it together, filled it in with strips where I needed a little more width or length. So I'll probably do something similar
Okay,
and using a cube or multiple cubes
sure.
to kind of fill in and add interest so it's not just squares and strips
Right.
together. So we'll see what happens.
And Erica and I talk about this a lot. We really need to, one of the things I want to write is a class on what to do with a panel. You know, how to zhuzh up your panel. I'd like to call it that, if I knew how to spell zhuzh.
Panels, like I find I fall in love with them because they're so fun and pretty, but then you get them home and you're like, what do I do with this?
Yes, yes, I agree.
Because you're used to bringing fabric home, cutting it up, sewing it back together, but
Yeah.
you don't want to cut up a panel.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, this is already sewn. What should I do here?
Yeah,
And I
something
think
more than just adding
panels,
borders.
a lot of people who do like quilts of valor, I feel like a good portion of them use, you know, panels or parts of panels for their quilts of valor, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta stop for a second and figure out what I'm doing. Okay, I have one more piece to sew, and then we'll show you the sides, and then we'll do our little sides. This is awesome. Hey, don't forget, if you are wanting to join our quilt along, the Facebook page is called Under the Needle with Pam and Erica, and Ray, who is helping with our comments today, she's our administrator. She has a huge title there. She's our administrator, and she has paused it for a hot minute because we just need to verify that you're real people and not spam. So just go to join, and then if you have to wait a minute for us to approve you to join, don't worry, we love you.
I appreciate that you're doing that because I'm in some groups that don't do that, and you do end up with a lot of spam and bots, and it's kind of annoying.
I get goofy things from people, and those kind of things. It's like, you know, hey, I really want to be your friend. I'm like, nah, I don't think you do.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Okay, so just like before, I'm going to press towards the squares. I turn my iron back on. All right, Chris, what else? I think
All
people
right, that's
asked
it
some
for
really good questions today.
Yes, lots of good questions today. So that's it for the questions. If we go back to the question of the day.
Yes, let's do.
Sherry says that love to design or convert existing patterns to use my AccuQuilt.
Yes.
I see lots of questions about doing that, so that's awesome that you're able to do that.
And our big thing is, our big pro tip is to say, you want to look at that pattern like it's, if it's not AccuQuilt, oh, thank you, Kenyon. You want to look at your pattern and read it, go to the end, pretend it's a good novel, and just go to the end and find out what happens in the end. Because what you want to know is, what shape do they really want you to make?
Right.
Right?
Like, do I need to cut those 5 5/8 inch squares,
Right.
or do I need to cut a 5-inch finished
Quarter
half square?
or
Half square triangle.
Yeah, 2 3/8 or whatever, 7/8, 2 7/8.
Right.
Okay, first of
Anytime
all,
there's an eighth involved, I know that it's going to be a triangle of some kind.
yeah, it is going to be a half square triangle, a quarter square triangle. And for me, my ruler doesn't even have an eighth, right, to cut. So if it tells me to cut 2 7/8, I'm going to cut 3 inches. And then when, I'm going to try and do them the same here. And then when it gets to the end of the project, you know, then I can read that I was just making 2.5-inch half square triangles. And quilters, there is a die for that.
There sure is.
Several of them. Okay. All right. Do we have more question of the day answers? I'm loving it.
We do. Marilyn also says, I like to take existing patterns and convert them. That's awesome.
That is fun.
Kathy says, I guess I've done a couple, as I sometimes just start sewing pieces together and they morphed into a quilt.
Okay, that is my
totally
favorite
counts.
answer of the day. So look, we've done our faux flying geese and our faux flying geese with our big square. So this is shape 3 and this is shape 1. Look how pretty this is going to be. It's like summertime with sherbet and pink lemonade and stuff.
I'm loving it in the grunge.
Yes.
Is the background also grunge, or is it just solid white?
It's just solid white. But I got to tell you funny. So after our show last week, I was talking to Erica, and I said, hey, on the show today, Chris taught me this secret about how to find white on white, because we use white on white a lot. Do you want to tell everybody the trick on how to find the right side of the white on white?
Yes, using a black light flashlight.
So amazing.
Did you get one?
I did. I put one that day in my cart. And Mason, who
Perfect.
monitors our cart, said, "Why do you need a black light?"
Are you going crime scene
I
investigating?
told him that. I said, "I'm doing crime scene investigating. I know that there's fake blood in our cart as well." So, no, I told him.
That's funny.
Yeah. No, he did. Right away, he called me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like,
That's
"Well,
funny.
Chris told me." Chris told me.
Yep,
Okay,
it
we're
makes
gonna sew one. We're gonna sew this side, and then we're gonna show you some stuff before we have to get out of, because we're almost out of time. But I want to show you my fabric for the quilt along. So keep talking, Chris.
Okay. Got a couple questions just come in.
Okay.
Patty asks, how do you get the center flat?
I press
So when
my-
you're pressing, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I press my seams open, but how did you get the center flat?
So I press the diagonal seams open, and then I press the, when I attach the flying geese, I press them in towards the center so that
Yes.
bulk of the corner all sits flat.
Yes. And that way you get good points on your quarter square triangle. Okay.
Yes. And then Lisa's asking, how would I make this with a 6, 8, and 12-inch cube?
And the
So
answer
you
is
wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
can't, yeah. You wouldn't be able to make this exact quilt. You could do something similar with the 6 and 12 because those are divisible by each other. But you would only get a 24-inch finished like block or
Yeah.
baby quilt.
Yeah.
And you would be missing the very center.
Yeah. So
Star.
I sewed it
That's what I'm
backwards,
thinking.
Chris.
Oh no!
Kenyon's laughing. Okay, this is why you pay attention. Okay, so now for sure we're going to stop because I got to take that out and put it towards the inside. Erica would say, had I pinned, it would have been fine. Okay. But yeah, so like you could do these blocks out of the 5 or the 6 and the 12, and it would make, you know, a 12-inch finished block and so forth. Okay, well, don't look here.
Put the
Doggone
other
it.
one up there. That's right.
There, now we can see. So look, now ta-da. Okay, look at how pretty that is. I love it, okay? So this makes a wall hanging, a table topper, an adorable baby quilt, and if you sewed 4 of these infinity star blocks together, you would have a throw quilt. All right, so follow the pattern to add a 2.5-inch border around the quilt. Finish the project by adding batting between the top and backing. Pin or base quilt is desired. Use your favorite binding method. Chris and I would use his scrappy binding die, and we would do that. And be sure and share all your projects with us on our social media platform. Be sure and join our AccuQuilt Facebook page called Under the Needle with Pam and Erica. And before we leave, I'm going to show you my fabric for the quilt along.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this, oh, here, this is huge, but I can do it. Okay. This is the pattern. It's called Go Sparkle and Shine.
Ooh. That's fun.
Isn't this so fun? And Chris, because of the center, it has an odd number. See that center row?
Uh-huh.
It has like 9 rows instead of 8. So you get that other, look at that little secondary pattern. And
How fun.
I know, and then this is my, gosh dang it, I'm mad I said that wrong. This is my fabric. It is called Speckled.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen this?
Yes.
And this is
I
kind of
think-
the robin egg color. This is Ruby Star.
Yep.
And it's called Speckled, and there's a whole line of it. And it's hard to see in the camera there, but it's a lot more robin eggy than it is on the camera. But it has pinks and peach and purples and blues. Do you want me to move that, Greg? Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm
How
excited.
fun. That's going to be really pretty.
I know. And Erica is using this year's color of the year. What is this called? Erica, tell us. It's the purple. It's Moda's color of the year. It's like Bravo or something, or Gusto or something. Erica will tell us in the thing. And then next week, we are using Amanda Harward's design, and we're going to use the 16-inch feather star. Notice it's that same yellow grunge in the middle. And I wanted to use this because it has it's not mocha cocoa. It's mocha something.
Mocha mousse.
There we go.
The Pantone color of the year.
Pantone's color of the year. So I'm excited. Okay,
And that
now
purple is called Nocturne.
Or Bravo. Okay, Chris, do you want to announce the winner of our today?
Yes, so the winner of $100 in AccuQuilt reward points is, drum roll please, Virginia C. of Culpeper, Virginia.
Virginia of Culpeper, Virginia, congratulations. I'm going to reach out to you. All right, Chris, anything before we sign off here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we got through everything.
All right. Well, for those of you who are celebrating Easter or Passover, have a lovely long holiday. Don't forget, AccuQuilt is closed on Friday for Good Friday. Helping us with our comments is the lovely Erica, and I assume Lauren and Ray.
Lauren and Ray. Yep.
Thanks, ladies, for helping with us. Here in the Dream Studio, we have Greg and Chelsea and Deborah, and we have Weston and Lucas and Kenyon, and I'm Pam. And of course, we have Chris from Rose City Originals. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.
Join me and Erica on Tuesday, May 6th as we launch the May Die to Try. It will surely have your quilting head spinning with delight. And then be sure to join us next week for AccuQuilt Live as we make another fun project with the 16-inch cube.